What I do have is silver. All right, we ready?
Yep.
All right, we will call the special meeting of May 19th, 2025 to order. If we could stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Douglas,
Here.
Ms. Hayes,
Here.
Horvath, here. Mrs. Sensei.
Here.
Mr. Thompson.
Here. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
I'll move.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Sensei,
Yes.
Mr. Thompson. Yes. Mr. Douglas,
Yes.
Ms. Hayes,
Yes.
Mr. Horvath. Yes.
Is there a motion to approve the minutes of the regular meeting of April 17th, 2025?
Move.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Horvath. Yes. Ms. Sensei,
Yes.
Mr. Douglas,
Yes. Is
Ms. Hayes,
Yes.
Mr. Thompson. Yes.
there a motion to approve the minutes of the regular meeting of April 28th, 2025?
I'll move.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Sensei,
Yes.
Mr. Horvath. Yes. Mr. Douglas,
Yes.
Ms. Hayes,
Abstain.
and Mr. Thompson. Yes.
Is there a motion to approve the minutes of the regular meeting of May 6th, 2025?
Move.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Sensei,
Yes.
Mr. Horvath. Yes. Mr. Douglas,
Yes.
Ms. Hayes,
Yes.
and Mr. Thompson. Yes.
Are there any board members wishing to give a report this evening?
I just want to say how wonderful graduation was. Again, it's always an honor to be able to pass out diplomas to the graduates. Obviously, it was a little extra special for me this year because it is extra special when the graduate is, your own. But I feel like they're all my own because, they're all Madison students, and with this being my daughter's graduating class, I have known so many of those kids since preschool, and many kids that I haven't seen in years, and they said their name, and I remember being in the kindergarten class, helping out in kindergarten class with them, and it was a wonderful moment. But even though this one was obviously very special and dear to me, they all are, because every graduation day, there's so much wonderful energy in that gymnasium. Everybody is happy and excited and nervous. And I saw so many of those kids just, crying, happy tears and sad tears, because they are now, leaving the school behind and going on with their lives. But it was just a wonderful day. It really was. So that's all I wanted to share. And then I did want to also point out our cover is an upcycle water bottle chandelier at the South Elementary School. Now, which teacher was it that made this?
Ms. McKibben, the art teacher.
Okay.
She did it they did it during their literacy night. They painted these water bottles and then they had more kids do it. And yeah.
So that's how they did it. They painted the water bottles and then cut them.
Mhm.
It's awesome. It's wonderful looking.
Yeah, I went to see it and it is.
It's really amazing.
Yeah, I called Angela up and I go, you gotta come up here.
Yeah.
It's really incredible. Great
Really.
job to the art teacher and all the kids that participate in this. It's wonderful.
Well, I have to piggyback on your graduation for your daughter, because I remember the first time I ever met her. She was 2 when you were being sworn into the board.
Yes, yes.
She was a
I have a
little
picture of me
Yeah.
being sworn in. And yes, I think I was holding her.
Mhm.
You're right. She was 2.
Yeah,
And now she has graduated.
yeah.
Oh my gosh, it's been that long. Oh, Lord.
Getting old, Michelle.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And congratulations to all the graduates and all the parents, because I know that a lot of those kids, they get through school because the parents are there to help them and assist them and push them and give them everything that they need. So congratulations to all.
Congratulations on a very good outgoing speech here for your final, graduation. So very nice.
Thank you. From the heart, from the heart.
All right, we do not have anyone registered for public participation, so reports and recommendations of the treasurer.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. First on the agenda. So when you look at the title of the financial statements, it says May 2025. That should be April, but when the recommended action, I do have April 30th. So my mistake on hoping that May's almost done. The 5-year forecast. Once I get through this season, I'm good. As I was saying, I'm doing 4 or 5-year forecasts for all the other organizations, so it's kind of hectic. But anyway, so the reconciled balance as of April 30th, 2025 is $13,722,581.30. We did reconcile the book to the bank. Of that 13 million, $4,240,937 is the general fund balance. So just give you an idea. And just to give you a real quick, we have received through April in the general fund $26,463,333 and expended $24,824,468. So through 10 months, our revenues are above our expenditures at this point. But May and June, because April, we received our tax settlement, that so we'd see a little bit of a jump in that section. So hopefully we'll be ending the year the way we expect when I do the 5-year forecast. Any other questions? I try to do a kind of just an overview. The general fund is the most important fund we have to look at. So, and then I included a lot of other statements, but it's numbers, but everything, the big thing is that we were able to, since I came on, reconcile the books. We're working on, Dave and I working on the federal funds and trying to clean the federal funds up. So we're making a lot of good progress.
Now you're going to go over this more in detail. That's not our.
This
approval.
is not the 5-year forecast.
Okay, just making sure that.
This is not the 5-year
Okay.
forecast. That's only the monthly reports for the month of April.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that we weren't
Nope.
done with, okay.
No. That is item 8.03.
So do we have a motion to approve the financial statements for the month ending April 30th, 2025?
I'll move.
Second. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Sensei,
Yes.
Mr. Horvath,
Yes.
Mr. Douglas,
Yes.
Ms. Hayes,
Yes,
Mr. Thompson.
Yes.
Next item is the donations. We have a generous donation of $500 from the Kiwanis Club of Madison to Madison High School to be used for ecology projects. Generous donation of $60 from Bill and Joe Hudson to Madison High School to be used for student fees. A generous donation of $200 from Andrew and Lisa Rash to Madison High School to be used for senior fees. A generous donation of $423 from McDonald's to South Elementary to be used as needed. A generous donation of $250 from Angela Smith to Madison High School to be used for the Jeff Greer Scholarship. And a generous donation of $250 from William and Sally Rogas to Madison High School to be used for the Jeff Greer Scholarship.
Second.
Any discussion?
thank you to everyone that donated. And then Angela, I remember who Jeff Greer was, but not everybody who's watching this may not remember. And I think it's important to remember and point out what he did.
Jeff Greer was an art teacher at Madison High School. He passed away in 2018. He and another teacher put a painting together after 9/11. I'll take it from here. His family talked about it at the awards banquet last week where they're going to take I'll take it from here, and in his hometown of Coshocton, the high school art teacher is going to do a mural on a wall in the town. So they've been raising funds for that all year. But his family gives a scholarship every year in his name, and this year we decided we wanted to give 2, so we Mrs. Rogas and I decided to sponsor one of them.
Yeah, he was a very well-liked teacher.
Amazing.
And we have a copy of the picture that he did, and he signed it, and it's on the wall here in the board office. But I don't remember where else that is hanging.
It's in
Is
the
it
Pentagon.
in the Pentagon?
The
Thank
original
you.
is in the Pentagon, and then
Yes.
they have prints at the 9/11 memorial in New York City.
Yeah. It's an incredible picture, an incredible work
really
of
is.
art. Yeah. So thank you for sharing that. You're welcome.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Horvath,
Yes.
Mrs. Sensei,
Yes.
Mr. Douglas,
Yes.
Ms. Hayes,
Yes.
Mr. Thompson.
Yes.
Now we're in the 5-year forecast. So just to give and I hopefully I spent some time over the weekend, did kind of a recap and sent it to the board of the forecast. Myself, Lou Gallant, who's assisting in the day-to-day operations and that, along with Ryan Gazzoni from Frontline Analytics, we met probably 3 or 4 times to review the details from the November forecast and then what type of updates that we have for the May 5-year forecast. And you have to understand is that this is an update. The November one is the new forecast for the new fiscal year. And this is just updating that November one based on additional information that you might need. So just to go down, line 1.010 is the general property tax. That's a real estate tax revenue, which probably it is about 36.52% of the total revenue. Basically, it comprises of class 1, which is residential and agricultural, and class 2, commercial and industrial. And respectively, it's 81.01% of the tax revenue is commercial, is class 1 residential and agricultural, and 12.35% is commercial and industrial. We are currently at, for this year, we're currently at the 20 mil floor for our with the reappraisal and getting down to the 20 mil floor. So moving forward, we factored that in. Public utility is naturally the telephone poles, transmission plants for the public utility. That is actually, the category makes about 3.16% of the district's revenue. And that is actually taxed at the full millage. There's no rollback on public utility. So it's taxed at 55.25 mils. And we have forecasted out the projected changes on that based on historical changes. The unrestricted state revenue, which is line 1.035 of the forecast. This is the state foundation, the state funding. Currently, from FY22, the legislature did adopt the Fair School Funding Plan. And the funding plan is driven by base cost methodology that incorporates components that identify the necessary to educate students. Currently, the states, our share of the state share of the base cost is about $4,066 per student. In the forecast, we are showing slight increases in it, and it's just because of with that 20 mil floor, we're going to have an adjustment on our state foundation in that fact, but it's very minimal. That line item for FY24 or FY25 is about $14.3 million. We're keeping it flat in 26, and then just a slight increase 27, 28, and 29. The restricted grants and aids, that basically is the wellness dollars that we receive from the state, disadvantaged pupil impact aid. So within the state foundation, there's unrestricted aid and there's restricted aid. Basically, the restricted is that the categories that they identify, you have to make sure that you're spending those dollars on those specific categories for those students. And that amount restricted is just over $1 million. We have a slight decrease in that because we don't know where the wellness dollars and what the fluctuation of the wellness dollars are going to be. So we have a little bit of we're trying to be conservative on the revenue side in that sense. Line 1.050, state share of local property tax. That is homestead and rollback reimbursement. So all residents in their tax bill receive a credit. And so there's a 10% credit for residential. If it is owner occupied, there's an additional 2.5%. So all owner occupied residential facilities, homes receive a 12.5% credit on their tax bill. That then is reported to the state, and we are reimbursed that dollar amount. That's those. And then also those individuals that qualify for the homestead exemption, individuals that are with the income and our age, meet the age requirement, receive also a homestead credit on their tax bills for that. So that is the line 1.050. And then the other revenue is any tuition we received for non-resident districts, also includes interest incomes and payment in lieu of taxes, plus some minor miscellaneous. So we are keeping our revenue at this point right around that $30 to $31 million through the life of the forecast. Not a very big fluctuation in that sense. Any questions on the revenue before I move on to the expenditures? So the expenditures start off with line 3.010, which is personal services, which is salaries and benefits. Oh,
You guys
page.
can find this on page.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's, yeah, I'm sorry, it's in the back. And I'm, yeah,
That's okay. I just wanted
and
to
I'm
make sure.
sorry about that.
That's
And
okay.
I'm reading off my assumptions, which is page 7. Thank you for bringing that
Yeah, no,
up.
that's okay.
Appreciate that.
Everybody's kind of.
I'm sorry. I'm so used to doing this. I
Right.
need to get back. So salaries represent about 57.24% of the total expenditures. Historically, they have only average annual increase of 0.59% or 81,000. And that's because of, retirements throughout the district. This category is projected to grow through an average rate of about 2% throughout the forecast. One thing that we found in the 2020 November 24 budget or forecast is that under our current collective bargaining agreement, there is a 2% increase on the base for FY26. It was not calculated in the November. We put that in. So you're going to see increases in the salaries going forward in the salary higher than, and that's just because it's accumulation.
Okay, so hang on just a second. So the November
24.
of 24 should have included that in it?
Yes, because that would have been the 3rd year of the collective bargaining.
Second year.
Second year. I'm sorry, second year.
But it was not put in to that forecast.
not for starting FY '26, which starts this September.
You put it in the assumptions, but it never made the
And we
document.
when we did our deep dive into the supporting documents. And when we were meeting with our representative from Frontline, he said, "What you're not showing," and we said, "We have a collective bargaining agreement. There's a 2% increase that we have to factor in."
But it was in the assumptions that we were given, but it was not in the
It's
numbers.
not in the numbers.
Okay.
Can you give us a ballpark about what that? If you can't do it now, that's okay.
Off the top of my head, I don't
I
want to.
understand.
Yes.
Yeah, that's okay. We understand. We'd rather you not give us an incorrect number, so that's fine.
So I would say, if you look at when I looked at, when you look at total expenditures and other financing uses,
Yeah.
the two main categories are going to be salaries and fringe benefits.
Mhm.
So when I looked at for FY '26, when you looked at total expenditures in the November 2024 5-year forecast, it was $30,452,735. In the May one with this new calculation, which includes the 2%, but also factors in increases in our medical insurance. That difference, the increase in our expenditures was right around $537,000. So I would say at that point, probably the majority share, I'd say be between $300,000 and $400,000 would be that dollar amount. And that continues to compound, as you see in my assumptions, then comparing the November 24 total expenditures to the May 25, the increase in expenditures were around $776,000 because of the compounding, and that just gets worse as it goes through the forecast. So on the benefits side, benefits represent about 21.43% of the total expenditures. In January of 2025, there was a 22% increase in the medical and prescription drug part of our hospitalization, which is probably the lion's share. There was a 0% on dental and vision. We were projecting, and I think in the projections, it was a little light in her calculations for the benefits. We calculated the 22% in there for this year. And then the consortium in their meetings are looking at a increase in hospitalization around 15% this January coming
Yeah,
up.
total.
So
Yeah, with hospitalization, dental, the whole.
yes,
And that rate will not be finalized until August.
right.
But, we wanted to give our districts in the consortium a reliable number to use in their forecasts. So it could be less with some of the changes that we've made to the consortium, but we wanted to be conservative in what those savings were.
And you have to allow the programs that the consortium to get a life and see where they're coming with the savings. And I would rather be a little heavy on the projections through the forecast, my percentage, and come back to you in November saying, "Oh, we don't need it. We're backing it down a little bit because of the decision that would be made in August. So I always say I try to be a little conservative on the revenue side, but a little liberal on the expenditure side. And hopefully we're better on the revenue side and also better on the expenditure side so that the bottom line is better in that sense. Under the purchase services, again, purchase services, outside services, your utilities under purchase services, and we know where utilities are going. And so we've factored in increases in the purchase services. As you can see, probably around $100,000 to $150,000 a year in that line item. That line item, purchase services, is right around $4.5 million of the total budget. Materials and supplies, again, we just factored in an inflationary increase that is about $850,000 to $870,000. That would grow through FY 29 to about 924,000 because of inflationary increases in compounding. And we're very light on the capital outlay because we have other sources that we can use for our capital outlay, other funds other than the general fund, so it doesn't put a burden on the general fund. The other financing sources, it's transfers out and advances out. So transfers out is that there are funds that the district supports through at the end of the fiscal year, and a transfer is a one way. So you transfer money to the general fund into those funds that have negative balances that are not going to have revenue coming in July and August. Advances are usually done, and those are, I call them short-term loans. The general fund makes a short-term loan to funds that have negative balances. The law does not allow you to end the fiscal year with any fund having a negative unencumbered cash balance. So you advance the money because you know in July and August that money is coming in. So in July and August, you'll see I'll bring a resolution for the board to approve transfers and advances. And then in July or August, I will bring a resolution to return those advances back to the general fund. So the bottom line, when I go to the cash balance, so in 2020, so in the 2024 5-year forecast, the projection for an ending cash balance was about 2,683,000. We're saying that's going to be about 2,551,000 with this May 5-year. That's about $132,000 decrease in the cash balance. In FY 26, that compounds, and we were projecting to have a $2.4 million general fund general fund cash balance, and we're projecting it to be about 2.1, which is just shy of 300,000. In 27, we were projecting in November $1.1 million, and that now is cash balance is decreased to 665,000, or a $469,000 swing. And then here's where we get into FY 28. We had a negative cash balance of 320,000. We're projecting it to be $1,020,000, or a almost $700,000 swing. And then in FY 29, we projected in November, or it was projected to have almost a $1.9 million negative cash balance. We're projecting it to be about 3 million, or 1,156,000.
Is that main driver that 2% gap on wages? Or?
The compounding,
Yeah.
everything compounds in that. And that's so as I said, we kept our revenue static, but our expenditures. So if you're looking at your revenue, if you're here, your revenue's here, and it just keeps.
There's some upside though.
Excuse me.
There's some potential upside if the revenue gets better.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
Okay, so that I can completely understand, I
Sure.
have to kind of
Absolutely.
bring this back to you. So the ending balance in 2025. Okay. Are we saying that would have been a good $300,000-$400,000 more?
No.
No.
If you look at my assumptions for FY 25, right now, the make forecast is showing 2,551,000,
Mhm.
correct?
Yes.
The November showed 2,683,000.
Mhm. Okay.
In FY 26, In FY '26, the November 2024 5-year forecast had us at 2,435,000.
Mhm.
We figured it out at 2,140,000, or a swing of just shy of $300,000.
And that is because
So you had the
the
2%.
previous,
have the 2% wasn't
2%, that's,
compounded.
the majority of that's at 2%.
Yeah, then it,
so that's because the person that,
factored in.
the person that gave us that forecast at that time did not factor
That
in
was
that
not factored in.
2%.
Right.
Even though she told us that 2% was in there.
I wasn't here, so I don't know that.
It was in the assumptions, is that
Was in
correct?
the assumptions, was written in the assumptions. Yes.
And then again, and then that, once that is in there, then that compounds.
Right.
But I think I remember reading in one of the emails that you had said that we were able to offset that with some retirements.
So, yes, so, starting in FY '26, some of that is offset because I believe we have around 9 individuals that are retiring. I think you said we have one more, but at the time we were preparing this, I have to take a snapshot in time so
Right.
that I can,
Yeah.
so I
Things
can
changed
calculate
after
it.
that, right?
Right. So 9, and we said that Angela and I had discussed that we were not going to replace 5 of them. So we calculated that in there.
Okay,
And the other 4 that are going to be replaced, we said, we calculated that they would be replaced at the B0, step 0.
okay, okay.
So the
So
impact
that's
is
in that
less.
number.
Yes.
Okay,
Well, it is less, and I get that. I mean, because I realize that, it may not, we weren't given completely accurate information in November, and now we have to figure out how to, so it's not as if we have less. It looks as if we had more money then, but we didn't really. So I get that part, but I mean, it's, yeah, it's offset, but it's teachers that we can't replace because we have to
Well, part of that, because
find this money.
at that point, we haven't even had special ed numbers ready.
Right.
So some of that is it's gonna be even less by the time we deal with some of the special ed things and pieces. So,
And my point of that was that, so the 2% was not included, should have been included. But had it not been for STRS making this change, which resulted in so many more teachers retiring this year than probably would have at STRS not made this change, that's what has sort of helped us make up
it would be in the shit.
right.
the difference,
Correct.
is these
That
retirements.
helps.
Because had we just not put it in, which it wasn't in there, and then we didn't get these retirements, we'd be in a whole nother, this forecast wouldn't look anything like this, right?
we'd be talking about reducing staff,
Yeah, we'd be talking about most likely,
like
Gotcha.
rips.
yeah, we'd be
Reductions
talking
in
about
force.
laying staff off because of an error in the 5-year forecast that we were presented, and we were told that this money is accounted for in the assumptions, and then it wasn't in the figures that we approved based on the assumptions we were provided.
And boards of education, we are not treasurers.
Correct.
And this, we have to trust that the numbers that we're given are accurate numbers, because that is how we make our decisions. Is, we employ a superintendent, we employ a treasurer, and with this, and in this case, this, is on the treasurer side here, but, we make our decisions based on that information that we are given, much like any corporation does.
Right.
So this is very disturbing that the information wasn't correct. So,
And I will tell you is that, and as I said in the beginning, is that myself and Lou Gallant and Ryan Gazzoni, because it's their software package, we made sure that we did a deep dive in each of those line items. Because Ryan he had the data, and we said, okay, what was the November? And so when we started down that road, and that's when we discovered about the salaries.
I'm glad that that you guys did that. So thank you. And thank you for including all of those others into it to make sure that we,
Well, and it's always tough as a treasurer CFO when you're preparing these numbers and seeing how it's going a little south, but it's my job to report it to you.
Mhm.
It's, I don't create the numbers, I report the numbers as they're presented. So.
Okay.
Any additional questions that I can answer?
No,
If-
thank you for your time.
Oh, and if you look at it, I tried to put a condensed version of this. Where the meat is on each of these is under the assumptions. Because I always tell boards, you can look at numbers and you'll get cross-eyed. But when you look at the numbers and then look at what was the reasoning for,
Yes.
coming to those numbers, then it makes a little more sense.
And can we put this on the website?
Yes,
Okay.
that can go on the website. Once it's approved, we will make sure it gets on the website.
Yeah, it's in PDF format, so I'll be able to send it off to Andrea.
All right, so do we have a motion to approve the May 2025 5-year forecast as presented?
I'll move.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Ms. Hayes,
Yes.
Mr. Thompson,
Yes.
Mr. Douglas,
Yes.
Horvath,
Yes.
Mrs. Sensei.
Yes.
So the next item,
And I just want to, because in the line where it says to approve, that it has May 25 forecast as presented, we need to say to approve the above resolution for workman's compensation or something. Do you see where it's at?
Yeah.
The bottom? Yeah. Just. to-
The caption
I
doesn't
copied and
match down
pasted,
here.
No.
Yeah.
You tell them. Got a lot on my mind.
You do. It's all
I
right.
tried, I did a copy and paste and then. So the next one is, so we currently,
Comfortable.
so there's, in workers' compensation, you have a third-party administrator and an MCO, which is managed care organization. The majority of the districts have both.
He's freezing over here on me.
Yeah, I was hoping he would close the window for me because it was so cold, but
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That might be the source of trouble.
It's a little more complicated than I.
it was very cold. I was cold all afternoon in my meeting.
So currently, our managed care organization is Sedgwick. And our third-party administrator is Shakely.
Thank you.
And so we received quotes, and I think we're under group rating. And so there's group rating and retrospective rating. We would do better in the retrospective rating part of the workers' compensation. And Sedgwick's proposal was a lot better. And also their annual fee was $1,000 less than Shakely's. And we're going to bring both Sedgwick, both the MCO and the TPA under one umbrella, because when you're dealing with workers comps, they both have to be in sync. So if there's two different companies, sometimes they have a little bit of friction. So this will bring us back into, so we're going to bring them both to Sedgwick.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Horvath,
Yes.
Mrs. Sensei,
Yes.
Mr. Douglas,
Yes.
Ms. Hayes,
Yes.
Mr. Thompson.
Yes.
That concludes my reports tonight. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
So we have the Madison Public Library fiscal year 26 tax budget here. We don't have anybody here from the library. So do we have a motion to approve their tax budget?
I'll move.
Second.
Any discussion?
We have to do it every year.
Roll call, please.
Ms. Hayes,
Yes.
Mrs. Sensei,
Yes.
Mr. Douglas,
Yes.
Mr. Horvath,
Yes.
Mr. Thompson.
Yes.
Thank you. Reports of the administrative team.
Since our last meeting, we've had several major events. One being our scholarship awards banquet. I mean, our community is always very generous. I don't have a total yet, but I will by the June meeting of the number, dollar amounts of total scholarships given.
Sure,
Um,
and if you could announce who got the scholarships too, that would be.
Yeah, we do,
wonderful.
we put a list and all of that together, so.
Thank you.
That will be in our last community update that'll go out next Friday. Who our scholarship winners were. And, obviously graduation was very special for me on Saturday as it was my last one in this district after 23 years. It was, just a beautiful morning, seeing the kids and knowing so many of the families and the names and having been here when their parents were here and I read their names at graduation. It was just a beautiful morning. And I do want to thank the senior class for the wonderful gifts. That flag was amazing when
It
it
was.
came down
That was a nice
for
surprise.
the
Yeah.
pledge. That was really nice. And if you go by the corner of Burns and Middle Ridge, you'll see the new sign in front of the building, denoting it's Madison High School. And, the speeches were great. Joe's baby video that he puts together, I think, hit the right note with everybody. This was a beautiful morning.
Yeah.
So,
Joe, your baby videos, they like hug at my heartstrings every year, even when my kid isn't in the video. But I recognize somebody and it just,
Thank you.
yes, you do a great job with those.
Since I've had a couple that have graduated, I spend a little more time on them now, so I know what it feels like.
The one question that did come up today in my office because Andrea and Susan were looking at it, is they're not in alphabetical order. So how do you put it together? In the order the
I
pictures
used
come
to do
in?
alphabetical order and then I wanted too predictable that way, so I just wanted, yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
That's one of the things I like about it.
Yeah,
That
right.
it's
You
not-
don't know
yeah.
who it is. So. that was
And
nice.
Joe, are you the one who picks the songs that
Yeah.
go with it? And you're such a sensitive guy. You always pick great songs.
It was a very, very special day. Dave?
No, I would concur with everything you've said about graduation. It was
It was
a
nice.
special day.
That flag was something else.
It really
It was
was.
really nice. That flag coming down, it was so large.
No, I'm thinking, where the hell's the flag? And then all of a
I
sudden.
know, that's what I was thinking
Yeah.
too.
Yeah,
I will say I felt bad afterwards because I was so caught up in, knowing so many kids that graduated, and my own daughter and everything that was going on. And ever since Roger passed away, our former superintendent, I always have taken the flowers off the stage and I set them at his grave, and I did not do that this year, and I really feel very bad about that. And then there were two other young men that I have taken the flowers from, which was Dylan White. I would put them at his site over here. And then also the young man in Thompson, his name was it Gage? Gabe, yeah. And this year, I am sorry, I apologize. I did not do that this year, and I really feel bad about that.
All right. All right, well, I don't have many items this evening, but a few things. So we're asking you to approve, this is the employment motion. We don't have any, well, we do have a couple, but we've got a couple resignations first. To accept with regret the retirement resignation of Jacqueline Berry, North Elementary fourth grade teacher, effective June 1st, 2025, after 35 years of service to the district. To accept with regret the retirement resignation of Steve Clark, Madison High School science teacher, effective July 1st, 2025, after 29 years of service to the district. The next, we're asking you to enter into the following employment contract to employ Suzanne Baker as school psychologist at North Elementary School under a one-year limited contract effective the 2025-26 school year. And to enter into to employ each of the following substitute teachers. It's actually only one, as approved by the Educational Service Center of the Western Reserve and or the Madison Local School District Superintendent under a one-year limited substitute teacher contract for the 2024-25 school year, Mackenzie Embacher. And then we're rescinding the following contract, rescind the 2024-25 supplemental contract of Catherine Kaminsky as middle school power of the Penn advisor.
I'll second.
Any discussion?
I just wanted to welcome Suzanne Baker as our school psychologist. We have 3 full-time school psychologists for 5 buildings. With the increasing need of students, with the increasing student population who have special needs and other scholarship identifications, we have contracted for 2 years for a part-time psych, and we realized that we need to have a full-time 4th person among 5 buildings. So it was sort of a try before you buy, but she's been amazing. She's worked with us for this year. She and I texted a little bit, and she was sorry she has Boy Scouts tonight for her sons and another activity, but otherwise she was very happy to work with us. We shared her with another district this year, and she loved working for Madison and the teachers and the kids, and so she was very happy to come work for us.
Just out of curiosity, when, let's say when I started 16 years ago, how many school psychologists did we have?
You actually had maybe 3.
Did we
one time
really?
had
I thought
4.
we
Yeah.
had one.
No, we
Okay.
had one that was employed through our preschool through the ESC, then became our employee, and then we had, I know when I was first in central office, so it might have been before you, we had 3. So there was a total of 4 servicing the needs of the district. We did withdraw, because our numbers went down and we didn't have that need. Well, what's happened since that time, as Jen alluded, the autism scholarships, the John Peterson scholarships, all these students that are out of our district still have to be evaluated by us. And so they may not be on their regular caseload within the district, but we have all these outside that have to be done
Okay.
as well.
The other big impact is that homeschooling, the laws for homeschooling changed. And before they were not, we did not have to provide any service for them, but now they can request testing. They won't receive services from us, but they can request testing, and then they can take the scholarship money. And so we've had probably 300% increase in the amount of students who are homeschooled that then want to be evaluated. So,
And if they're homeschooled, just so that I can understand this, if they're homeschooled and we have to provide those testing services
Right.
to them, then, but we don't get any reimbursement from the state for those testing
No,
services,
no,
right?
we're responsible.
So, and because they're homeschooled, we don't get any sort of funds for these children, but we are required to provide these services to them.
Because
Yeah.
then they can take that, if I'm not mistaken, right, to a private provider for speech
Yes.
or OT. or
So
some of
that's
those
what,
things.
so primarily before homeschooling, really, the laws changed and really opened homeschooling up to, all you have to do is say, you let the superintendent know. Before, you had to be approved, you had to provide the superintendent with a curriculum, and everything was on the parent. Well, now, the parents can request testing, and if their child is identified, then they can take that to a private provider, which would not just be a school. So that's the other thing. Sometimes We have students who take a scholarship but actually go to a school. So then St. John's, we have a few students who are at St. John's. Anybody who is a scholarship provider. So those students live in Madison, but want to go take a scholarship because their child has a special, is identified as special ed. Then they take that money from, the scholarship because they are identified. And then we have to also write the plans. We also have.
But
to
we get
approve
no
it.
money for that.
No.
No.
And so, right, so then that's one way, but then we have the additional of having a staff, like I have to find somebody to also write the plan. And then that would include speech and all of that. And then we have, then just those who want to get speech, let's say that, a 7-year-old has a speech disabilities identified. So the parent homeschools, but then the parent can also say that I have a speech need, I want to go to LLC. So that's where we're seeing an increase. And then what's also happening are these new places that are opening are, letting parents know that, hey, we provide the service. And so they work with the families to kind of, educate them on the options that they have. And so again, by law, we are required to provide a free and appropriate public education, but they still have to be identified, if there is a learning disability. So it's just become, there's just a lot of factors that have all kind of swirled together. And the other thing too is just like so the other piece when we're talking about, I don't want to word, I'm so sorry.
No, you're okay. But basically what I'm understanding is that the government has mandated schools to again do more, but not give us additional money to do more again.
Right,
They're not count in our foundation. Now, people pay
And-
property taxes.
right,
And then after we do that more, that they have not given us additional funds to do, but are requiring us to do, they then allow the parent to take that money and go elsewhere. So we don't see any of that money, even though we've been required to do the work. That's what I'm hearing, right?
Yeah.
All right. I just want to make sure that everybody in the community understands what is happening here because we are again having to hire another person right here to do some of these things that we will not be getting compensated for. We won't be getting any of the
We just gotta
money.
go back to the money tree.
right.
The money
Right.
tree, yeah.
Well, the other thing too is there's very specific guidelines for how many. So this is where when we talk about staffing for special ed, there's a very specific prescription by the state. So students in grades K-8 who have an intervention specialist, they can only have 16 students, no more than 16 students on their caseload. So depending on how many students we have in each of the grades, I have to have by state, by law, I can't have any more than 16 students per intervention specialist. The high school, there's 24. Then there's also for all of our speech pathologists, for the OTs, for the school psychs, there are, that we have to have, it's a ratio, it's a work, calculator ratio. And so we are at the mercy so when we are looking at staffing for special education, we are doing it because we are required. And obviously we need to support our students and this is not at all to take.
Oh, I don't
lightly,
think, I'm not.
Because we care very much. It's just, it really does cause the district, to try to figure out how to fund that when you're so, it's you never know how many students, if you have children who move in that you didn't necessarily account for, who have very significant needs. And so it can be difficult to kind of really gauge for.
Yeah.
And we're always, Angela and I work very, very hard. Angela has she has her bottom line, which is a little different than mine, but
Sure.
which I respect, but so we're always looking at really just that ratio. And
Mhm.
so Angela has always, staffed, right? I get a little more nervous. My heart beats a little bit faster but so far we've done well, but she's very good at figuring.
Right. No, I
out.
don't have an issue at all
Right.
whatsoever with doing what we need to
Oh,
do
right,
for our
right.
special education
Mhm.
students. I have an issue with, we're required to do things that the law says we have to do, but then they can take the money and go wherever they want to. And even though we have to do the work,
State level.
we don't get the money.
At state level.
Yeah. Because when that money leaves, we've done the work and, where does that money come from? Like, it's gotta be pulled from someplace. So, and it's our
And I
students
will
that suffer.
say that, we have been looking for the right school psychologists for a long time and they're just not out there. I've seen 3 or 4 jobs posted on a couple of different websites and heard that another district was already going to be looking for a school psych. So they're a in demand, hard to find position. So
I understand.
We had to outsource last school year to an online. It was awful. It was very expensive, but we had to,
no choice.
find somebody. We have been posting it. Dave has been posting a part-time site for years and we've, kind of muddled through. And so that just,
And our ESC partnership on
Yes.
this one, and then I sort of broke the bad news last week that
Yes.
we were hiring her outright.
we had a little
Yes,
bit
yeah.
of a steal.
Take that up with the superintendent.
Right.
I did. I took it up with her. So. Did we vote already on this one?
No, we didn't.
No, I got to talking.
All right, roll call, please.
Mr. Horvath?
Yes.
Mrs. Sensei?
Yes.
All right.
Mr. Douglas?
Yes.
Ms. Hayes?
Yes.
Mr. Thompson?
Yes.
Right, and we have, then the next item is the retirement resolutions. We have the retirement resolution for Jackie Berry and Steve Clark.
I'll move.
Second.
Any discussion?
I just thank them both for all their years of service. I've worked with both of them my entire time here in Madison and, when you have experience, leave,
Yeah.
you're going to miss people, They're veteran teachers that, like all our retirements, they'll be missed.
For sure.
Roll call?
Ms. Hayes?
Yes.
Mrs. Sensei?
Yes.
Mr. Douglas?
Yes.
Mr. Horvath?
Yes.
Mr. Thompson?
Yes.
There is nothing on the consent calendar this evening.
All right. I think we could meet in executive session just for like 2 or 3 minutes to. So if we could have a motion to go into executive session for the purposes of the appointment, employment, dismissal, discipline, promotion, demotion, or compensation of public employees or regulated individuals. I think that covers it.
I'll move.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Sensei?
Yes.
Ms. Hayes?
Yes.
Mr. Douglas?
Yes.
Horvath?
Yes.
Mr. Thompson?
Yes.
We are 6:59.